Hey everybody, I am Cory Ballad and I am back again with another video, and I am going to be talking about a video that I watched on YouTube. I'm gonna do a recap, reaction, review, whatever I call them. I can't ever remember. Talk about what the video was talking about, and some interesting things that I learned from it or whatever. And just that's it. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to my channel where I have hundreds of videos. Go ahead and comment down below and stuff like that. Visit my community tab on my YouTube channel where I have different pictures and such and post that I don't post other places. I also have social media where I post different things. I post different things on everything that I have. I try to keep up with it, but I'm not the best, but I try to keep up with it. Visit my blog, corysong.blogspot.com, where I have some original content that I write and such. And yeah, that's it. So this video was called What Ruined the Fairly Oddparents, and it's by Saberspark. I think that's how you say that name. Let me see, Saberspark. Excuse me. Like that light, or I don't know. Saberspark on YouTube. So this was just talking about the cartoon Fairly Oddparents, which was on Nickelodeon, and it ran from the year 2001 to 2017, I believe. He gave, at the end of the video, he gave his 3 reasons why he felt like it had ended or why it was ruined. He always gives why certain things are ruined, why he thinks they're ruined, why they are not good anymore, or whatever. Yeah, so his 3 reasons were franchise fatigue was number 1, which is people, the show was on so long, it was on for 15, 16 years, that that the writers of the show, the producers of the show, the creators of the show, they might run out of things to do on the show, and the show will lose quality, or also the fans will be fatigued with the show for it being on so long, and they are tired of it, and they feel like it's not the same like it used to be. I talked about that on my first video that I did about cartoons, which was about The Simpsons, another documentary little thing on YouTube where they were talking about why The Simpsons had declined over the 30 years that it's been on television. So yeah, that's always a talk with all television, cartoons, sitcoms, everything. Then he said number 2 was executive meddling, which was the executives, the people in charge at Nickelodeon, the network, were giving directions on what they thought should happen on the show to the creator, Butch Hartman. And number 3 was the death of television, which he said was, television is not the main medium. Well, it's not as big of a medium as it was. I'm not sure if it's been, I guess it will, probably is overtaken by the internet, Netflix and YouTube and stuff like that. The children and everybody can watch cartoons and television shows in general on the internet at their leisure, and not on, you don't have to wait for it to come on at a certain time on television. So, and you could watch it as long as you want, and blah 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 blah, all that good stuff. Why we use those channels and stuff on the internet, why we use those things on the internet. I think I was mumbling during that time. Okay, so those were his 3 reasons why he thought so. So, what did he say? That was interesting. What did he talk about? He talked about the history of the show, how it came on television, how it came to be on television. The creator of the show was Butch Hartman. He had a really long, like old school name, Earl something Hartman, but he goes by Butch. I didn't know that was his name. He worked for Hanna-Barbera and Cartoon Network in 1990s. He was working on Johnny Bravo, the cartoon that was on Cartoon Network, and when the show ended, one of the guys who worked at Cartoon Network, he went and started his own production type of company thing and went to Nickelodeon. And he was doing this show on Cartoon Network called What a Cartoon, and then he moved to Nickelodeon. When he moved to Nickelodeon, the guy, I think his name was Fred, he moved to Nickelodeon. He started the show over, and he changed the name to Oh Yeah Cartoons in 1997. And he called up Butch. He wanted Butch to do, well, if you don't know about the Oh Yeah Cartoons, it was a little show where they were like showcasing different cartoons. So it had different cartoon. It had little short segments of cartoons from different cartoonists. So the guy Fred, he called up Butch, who he worked with at Cartoon Network back in the day. He was like, he's gonna start the show on Nickelodeon. Do you have a cartoon that you want to put on there? So Butch said no at that time. He was working on Johnny Bravo, and he wanted to stay on Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo ended, so then Butch, he wanted to make his own cartoon by that time. And so he called him up, and he said that he had a slot for him on the show. So then he just created The Fairly Oddparents in like 15 minutes. He drew up Timmy, and he made up the idea, and then it got on the Oh Yeah Cartoons. And it first premiered on there in 1997. Then Nickelodeon picked it up in 2001 on that channel. And it was very popular. At one time, it was higher rated than SpongeBob. And it was doing really well. Had a lot of different cartoon, like movie specials on television. Like it was very popular during that time, and it was going well. But you know what they said happened during that time. This was when the executive meddling came in. They were always comparing him, Fairly Oddparents, to SpongeBob, and they wanted it to, they were trying to make Butch do different things to get the ratings up, or just make it as popular as SpongeBob. He felt like they were always comparing it to SpongeBob. And they said that the show, during the time that it was on television, it was canceled 5 different times, which I didn't know that, which is crazy. And so, yeah, so they would come to him, they would give him different ideas that they thought he should do to make the show more lucrative. They were all about making the money, because SpongeBob was making a whole bunch of money. They were like, what can we do to make it more like SpongeBob or whatever? But, of course, Butch was himself, and he had Fairly Oddparents, so he couldn't, be SpongeBob. But, so they canceled it 5 different times during that time that it was on television. And what else? What else do I have in my notes? So yeah, so he would do different things, and then the ratings started to decline during the later half of the 2000s. So they added on different characters, Poof and Sparky, and then I didn't know about this character, Chloe Carmichael. They added her in the end to help boost ratings. Sometimes they said Poof did boost ratings, Sparky and Chloe Carmichael did not boost ratings. And I didn't know that. I would just watch some of the different episodes of Fairly Oddparents when I was just in passing, because I really stopped watching it when I was younger. I was a teenager actually, but because I love cartoons. So, but it was still a long time ago. I didn't watch it but I would see it on television that they had the dog. But they said that the people watching it didn't like the dog, and they took him off of the show, which I didn't know. That's funny. Oh crap! What was that? Stuff be happening in the background, like noises and stuff. Yep. So they did all this stuff, did all this. He did added all these. Um, what's the word? Characters that didn't work out, and it was just on too long eventually, and it just ended. So um, then I wrote down some other interesting things that I found out about this. That I found out on this, that Nickelodeon had an animation podcast, but they were showing different segments of him talking on that podcast, which I would like to listen to now. And then also the Butch, now after the Fairly Oddparents and everything, he left Nickelodeon, and now he's on YouTube, which I didn't know. And I saw his Instagram and stuff like that. So now he's trying to get into the internet and the cartoon world, and that's really good because he's really a great artist. And the Fairly Oddparents was really a beautiful cartoon. Him and Danny Phantom, yeah, and all his cartoons. He's a great artist. Like I remember thinking how beautiful they were, like when it came out and stuff. So yeah, he's very talented, and it's good that he's on YouTube. I want to check that out now. But they were talking about he was old or whatever. He wasn't. He was trying to figure out how to be on YouTube. So then he also is trying to start a streaming service like Netflix or something as well. So those were the reasons on that video. That was what ruined the Fairly Oddparents by Saberspark on YouTube. My thoughts on the video, his reasons or whatever, franchise fatigue. I mean, that's pretty much like I said, the story of all sitcoms and television shows. Like the viewers, they move on to something else. And cartoons, like they're usually supposed to be for children or whatever. But Fairly Oddparents, when SpongeBob and all that stuff, and the Nickelodeon and in the late 90s and early 2000s and stuff, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, they started doing cartoons that were more adult friendly and stuff like that. So adults would watch the cartoons as well. Like I watched Fairly Oddparents until I was like a teenager. So it was a very funny show, and I loved it. I stopped watching it when I kind of was in college and stuff, and just stopped watching a lot of TV. So I didn't have any time to watch any TV. So yeah, I think that happens with the cartoons, that they, like the people, they get grown or whatever, they become adults, they feel like they can't watch cartoons anymore. So they just move on to something else, and then it's on so long, you just move on to something else. It's a whole bunch of new stuff coming on TV. Now they have YouTube, now they have Netflix. Like he said, like it's more stuff to watch. Like they're like, okay, I'm tired of the Fairly Oddparents, whatever. So yeah, that's what happens. The executive meddling, I don't know if it was if it declined the quality. I can't say because I didn't watch the later seasons, so I don't know. And death of television, I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, but the networks, they have streaming services now where like their own streaming services and stuff where you can watch stuff. So I don't know, you could still watch their shows on there, the streaming services, but I don't know. That's a topic I'd have to get into. I'm not really sure about. Yeah, but these, like I said on my other videos, these documentaries that they're doing on the YouTube are really insightful and amazing. Yeah, but go ahead, like the video, subscribe, share the video on other platforms, comment, visit my blog, corysong.blogspot.com. Also visit my community tab, like I said, on YouTube, where I have pictures and posts and all that different stuff. Go ahead and check that out. I'll be back later. Bye. Let me do my outro. Do. Spit it up.